section entitled Three Historic Events of the Evolution of Human Rights Law that Formed Our Human Rights Law Today. Introduction. In 539 BC, the armies of Cyrus the Great, the first king of ancient Persia, conquered the city of Babylon. But it was his next action that marked major advance for men. He freed the slaves, declared that all people had the right their to choose their own religion, and establish racial equality. These and other decrees were recorded on a big clay cylinder in the Akkadian language with a cuneiform script, known today as the Cyrus cylinder. This ancient record has now been recognized as the world's first charter of human rights. In it is translated into all six languages of the United Nations, and its provision parallel the first four articles of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. From Babylon, the idea of human rights spread quickly to India, Greece, and eventually Rome. There, the concept of natural law arose in observation of the fact that people tend to follow certain unwritten laws in the course of life. And Roman law was based on rational ideas derived from the nature of things. Documents asserting individual rights, such as Magna Carta 1215, the Petition of Rights 1628, the US Constitution 1787, the French Declaration of the Rights and of the Citizen 1789, and the US Bill of Rights 1791 are written precursors to many of today's human rights documents. The evolution of the concepts expressed by the Magna Carta is represented by English Bill of Rights. It was an act signed into law in 1689 by William III and Mary II, who became co-rulers in England. After the overthrow of King James II, the bill outlined specific constitutional and civil rights and ultimately gave Parliament power over the monarchy. Many experts regard the English Bill of Rights as the primary law that set the stage for constitutional monarchy in England. It is also credited as being inspirational for the US Bill of Rights. Magna Carta. Magna Carta, or Charter, signed by the King of England in 1215, was a turning point of human. The Magna Carta, or Great Charter, was arguably the most significant early influence on extensive historical process that led to the rule of constitutional law today in the English-speaking world. In 1215, after after John after after King John of England violated a number of ancient laws and customs by which England has been governed, his subjects forced him to sign the Magna Carta, which enumerates what later came to be true as human rights. Among them was the right of the church to be free from governmental interference, the rights of all citizens to own and inherit property, and to be protected from excessive taxes. It established the right of widows who owned property to choose not to remarry, and establish principles of due process and equality before the law. It also contained provisions forbidding bribery and official misconduct. Petition of Right, 1628. The next the next recorded milestone in the development of human rights was the Petition of Rights, produced in 1628 by the English Parliament and sent to Charles I as a statement of civil liberties. Refusal by Parliament to finance the king's unpopular foreign policy had caused his governments to extract forced loans and to quarter troops in subjects' house as the economy measures arbitrary arrest and imprisonment. For opposing of policies had produced Parliament a violent hostility to Charles and to George Villiers, the Duke of Buckingham. The Petition of Right inherited by Sir Edward Coke was based upon early statutes and charters and asserted four principles. Number one, no taxes may be levied without consent of Parliament. No subject may be imprisoned without cause of shown. Number three, no soldier shall be quartered upon the citizen. And number four, martial law may not be issued in a time of peace. The constitutional the Constitution of the United States of America and the Bill of Rights, written during summer 1787 in Philadelphia. The Constitution of the United States of America is the fundamental law of the U.S. federal system of government and the landmark document of the Western world. It is the oldest written national constitution in use defines the principal of organs of the government and jurisdiction and basic rights of citizens. The first 10 amendments to the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, came into effect December 15, 1791, limiting the powers of the federal government of the United States and protecting the rights of all citizens, residents, and visitors in American territory. The Bill of Rights protects speech, freedom of religion, the right to keep and bear arms, the freedom of assembly, and the freedom of petition. It also prohibits unreasonable search and seizure, cruel and unusual punishment, and compelled self-incriminalization. Among the legal protections it affords, the Bill of Rights prohibits Congress from making any law respecting establishment of religion, prohibits the federal government from de- depriving any person's life, liberty, or property without due process of law. In federal criminal cases, it requires indictment by a grand jury for any capital offense, or infamous crimes guarantees a speedy public trial with impartial jury in the distinct in which the crime occurred and prohibits double jeopardy.